So this will be a basic video on the posture and the breathing techniques that can develop for good yoga practice. Obviously, most people are probably familiar with just the seated position, cross-legged, sitting on the tailbone, kind of moving the body around to get comfortable. You'll notice people generally tend to favor a lead leg, and sometimes you can switch them around halfway through your seated practice. I like to take a moment to just kind of shift my body, get my weight evenly distributed, focus on my posture, maybe roll my shoulders out just a little bit, and focus on aligning the spine, and then moving your awareness to your breath. And as your posture kind of increases, you'll notice most people think that the top of their back is somewhere, top of their spine is somewhere in here, but you'll feel that kind of top protrusion in the back of your skull, and it's higher up on the head than most people think. And that's kind of, if you can imagine a thread pulling from the top of that, kind of like pulling some of the weight of your spine upwards. For most people, like in the American lifestyle, your shoulders, you'll probably have to emphasize rolling your shoulders gently back. Most people, especially if you work in a seated position, kind of hunch and roll over, kind of develop the posture that's the opposite of that. So once you've found that comfortable aligned position of the spine, you're resting all of your weight on your tailbone, you should be able to move your legs freely from that position with minimal adjustment of the upper body. I usually take a couple of deep breaths, exhale out the mouth for starters. So one of the common breathwork exercises or breathing techniques is called the Ujjayi breath, which is also called like an ocean breath sometimes. It sounds like the ocean waves coming in and out. So with some good posture, you start your breath low in the stomach as opposed to high up. Like if you are unaware of your breathing, you're mostly breathing with your lungs. So the last part of your breath comes from your chest and from your lungs. So you start breathing from the bottom and kind of imagine it working up, and breathe out the reverse of that, down and out. So if you take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for about a second at the top, and exhale it as quickly as possible out of your mouth. And do that about 5 times for starters. Most people will be breathing far more noisy than they might feel comfortable with at first. It can generate a lot of noise. And as you progress through the breathing techniques, some of them are more and more noisy. And in fact, that term, the ocean breath, is no accident. In your sinus, as it's drawing in air and through your mouth and throat and nose, etc., depending on the breathing technique, it will sound just like the waves being next to the ocean. So don't be afraid. And you're using the side muscles, you'll feel your side muscles engage, your abdominal muscles engage, kind of like expanding like an accordion, and then you're contracting them. You want to focus on, instead of breathing from the chest, you're really using your abdomen, and that's where the posture comes in. So after that, I generally take about 5 breaths, same thing, in through the nose fairly rapidly, hold it for about a second at the top, and then exhale through the nose. And that's going to change your awareness of how the breath is coming into your body and flowing out. You want to push basically 99, 99.5 to 100% if possible of every ounce of air in and out of your body. And with each breath, it should be a little bit more. Just strive to push a little bit more air out on your exhale. Inhale a little bit more on each inhale. So that deep breathing in and out, especially when you go out of your nose. If your mouth were open, I had a yoga teacher that always described it like for women, if you had a makeup mirror in front of your mouth, if you held it out just a few inches, every portion of your exhale should be enough power to fog up a mirror that you're holding a few inches from your face. So obviously your inhale is not going to fog it up, but the same amount of force should be applied. And that's another part of the exhale, is to try and make the exhalation as even as possible. Like you don't want it to be like if you're counted out, and we'll get to that, where you're counting out the seconds of your inhales and exhales, is evenly distributed with the power in and out. So after a few breaths, so I do, my warm-up is 5 breaths in through the nose, hold for a second at the top, exhale quickly, and you can even make a ha sound. To just kind of deflate and exhale all of that breath. And that's just the beginning stages of bringing your awareness and focus to the breath. Then 5 breaths in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils, and generally through the rest of the yoga practice, the emphasis will try and be on inhaling and exhaling specifically through the nose. So after 5 of each of those breaths, I will do playing with the amount of seconds inhaling and exhaling. So you still want to distribute your breath evenly, but you want to use 100% of your lung capacity spread out, say on an inhale for 5 seconds. Hold it for a second at the top, and then exhale for a different amount of time, like exhale for 7 seconds. And you do 5 of those counts. I just generally pick an arbitrary number like 5. I mean, if you're cramped for time, you can do 3 series of breaths, but obviously the more effort and time that you can put into it, the better. And this is a great way to start off a yoga practice. I found it's even helps me with swimming, with running, any kind of activity. I mean, weightlifting, anything that is powering your body is powered with your breath. So another technique that will help with your breath work is using your thumb and your ring finger. We can use your dominant hand, it doesn't matter. And you hold one side of your nostril with your thumb for an inhale. All the way full, and you take your ring finger and hold the other nostril and exhale through your opposite nostril. And it may be noisy, and you might notice a difference between your sinuses or whatnot, but that doing several breaths in that fashion also will bring your awareness to the length and the striving of evenness of power through your whole inhale and your whole exhale. You don't want it to be 90% power for the first 4 seconds and then 10% of your effort for the last second, trying to even it out over the course of those several seconds of inhaling and exhaling. And that's some of the introductory breath work in terms of changing your mental state and your physical state by using your breath.